So when do classes officially start?
2 weeks ago.
24th.
24th? How's it going so far?
For me, it's a challenge
Yeah.
because all the computer, I was in class when we were supposed to be in person, and
Yeah.
we went to that COVID, and I'm like, this is not native. I'm used to watching and being in a class with watching your facial and all that.
Yeah.
I'm doing good in it. And then we just found out I still got 3 classes left to get my bachelor's.
Oh, exciting.
I'm over 62, so the school pays for tuition, so all I gotta worry about is And then Marty, he talked me into it. He says, "You're so close to that."
Might as well.
Then he also talked me into retiring.
I'll put a link up to this if you're recording it for our website.
Okay. To try and
Yeah, you don't have to look at it right now, but it's available.
okay. So you all are all set. And then this is being recorded for other students too. So
Great.
yeah.
And I just
Wonderful.
Unless you all
come
have
from that
before.
area.
Oh, really?
I was on the St. Croix River.
Oh, okay.
My dad grew up around Dairyland,
Okay.
and it's a Shoshone Park is where he liked to fish. So for a family reunion, we met there.
Oh, okay.
We can do a quick introductions, and thank you everybody for coming today. Really appreciate it. Amy is the director here, so she can get us going.
Amy Poupart, I'm from Octa Flambeau, born and raised, well, I wasn't born there, but I was raised there. I am enrolled in Octa Flambeau, but I'm also have some descendancy from Eastern Shawnee of Oklahoma through my grandmother. So I've been at Great Lakes now for 18 years. Does it seem like it? But so I'll leave it at that. We'll talk about more of the program stuff tomorrow.
All right, thanks. Asel made something with the program like 2.5 years. Originally from Mexico. I've been in Wisconsin for more than half of my life. So I've been in Lac du Flambeau since 2003, working in different programs and writing grants, doing some different things. But joined the GLNARCH team about 2.5 years ago, and I'm a career enhancement coordinator. So we'll talk about some of our programs that I recruit for and that we put together. So glad to be.
My name is Tara, and I have I'm enrolled Eastern Van Cherokee off the Blue Ridge Reservation, and I've been in northern Wisconsin my entire life since I was 6 months old. Hung around on the Potawatomi Reservation and Sakagan, so that's my stomping grounds, as I like to call them. And I've been in Lac du Flambeau now the last 4 years, and I just transferred over to the GLNARCH program about 2 months, so my feet are still getting wet here, but Jill and Amy have been great to work with, and we're really, really, really excited to be here. So yeah, we'll jump into what GLNARCH is all about and what we can potentially do for you guys.
So I'll try to give a short little kind of nutshell. Back, 2002. So GLNARCH is funded through the National Institutes of Health. So there's different GLNARCH centers in the country, but we're the only one on this side of the Mississippi. So we're funded through a 4-year grant cycle from NIH, and our main goal on how this all came about was to get more Native students to go into health and science and research, and to get them to come to serve a Native community, whether it's theirs or wherever, just to have more Native representation in these types of fields. And also on the research side of things, we also, are trying to help tribal communities build their capacity to do their own research, or tribal colleges to do their research and kind of share and work on things to get them to kind of come up in this field, in those fields, and work with tribal people. It came about through the Wisconsin Indian Education Association and the Tribal Health Directors in Wisconsin, but because initially our funding was funneled through Indian Health Service, that's where our tie kind of came in with them. And so we were able to designate Minnesota, Michigan, and Wisconsin, the Bemidji area as far as IHS is concerned, as our service area as well. So that's kind of how we were able to differentiate from just Wisconsin. Some of the Great Lakes programs are just Wisconsin tribes. So it's nice to be able to reach out and do different things with the broader communities. So a few years ago, things changed. So our funding comes directly to us now. So we don't have that IHS, but we still keep kind of those guidelines for our service area. But you can pretty much, we've been given a lot of flexibility, so we're able to kind of tailor things to how we see it if they're needed. So, and we have one current research project that we're funding through Menominee Tribe in Wisconsin, and it relates to childhood trauma and resiliency. And we are in the midst of getting some other funding that hasn't been fully awarded yet. So we'll have more projects like that. But we've done multiple projects this past year with COVID, this past year and a half. We've helped Keweenaw Bay and Fond du Lac Tribe, Mount Pleasant, and I'm missing one. But we got them like equipment for the tribal colleges so that they can start doing like gas chromatograph and stuff like that to do sampling and different things like that. So while we can't be out traveling and doing stuff like we've been able to do today, we're trying to help them build up anyway and try to get them moving. So I'll let Azale talk about some of the other
Sure. So like Amy said, there's different components to the grant, and there's research, and there's building capacity and all that. But I think the thing that we wanted to focus today that kind of could be of immediate impact for maybe some of you guys if you're interested is the student enhancement component. And so what we can do for Native college students is that we can provide assistance in getting a summer research internship. And summer is kind of a generic name, but because we have students that do research in the fall or in the winter, so it's called summer because most people do it in the summer, but we could do it pretty much any time during the year. And we found, and the grant was written that with the concept that students that go into research that have more likelihood to succeed in their career and do maybe continue in the science and health focus areas that we have. So the summer research internships, we try to connect students with, if they already have a potential mentor in their own institution. So for instance, if somebody was doing research here at NMU and they wanted somebody to help them out, but they didn't really have a grant or something, we can step in and help pay for that. So we pay for, we're at $12 an hour for undergrad and $15 an hour for grad students. So these are 400-hour projects. And we just, there's a recruitment process, there's a application form and a flyer we have some physical forms here, but it's also on our website for anybody else that's interested in. So we require just a few things to apply. It's like a writing sample, a transcript. We don't really check for, if you tell us you're Native, we believe you. We don't check for enrollment or anything like that. So that's just how our grant is set up and how we serve. So, and also if you don't have an immediate mentor in your institution where you're at, we can try to connect you with somebody that is doing research. In the past, our program has been able to do, it's connected to health, and it's a broad definition of that. So we've had students do, for instance, taking measurements of contaminants in fish on Lake Superior, and that, because that impacts tribal communities, that's health, even though it's more natural resourcey sounding, but it's still impacting tribal communities. So we have a very high, broad flexibility to. Somebody else was doing something with law, I think it was, and they would still allow it because, it would impact tribal communities' health. So our program is pretty flexible, and another thing that can do beyond the 400 hours is that students that want to present at something like NIA or some other local conferences, we can pay for travel, transportation for the mentor and the student. And so that's something that's a unique benefit. Also, students that might require tools to do their research, our program can most of the time say yes to equipment and sampling supplies and things like that. And we like to have students usually attach themselves to a project that's already ongoing, because what happens when, it's not impossible, but what happens when somebody wants to start a project like right off the ground, and you have to go through IRB approval and all those things, and that burns 400 hours really quickly, and really nothing gets done. So, or they'll just get it started for somebody else down the line or the next year. So that's kind of why we prefer that students attach themselves to a project that's already going, or develop a new aspect of a project that's already going. So, and a different goal for some research that's already ongoing. And we ask for 3 goals and objectives that they will be completed during those 400 hours. We check in at the beginning to get you registered. We check in about every month, once every month, just to see how things are going. And more than anything, it's to see if there's anything needed that we can help with. And we'll do a Zoom call, or once COVID dies down a little bit, in person, we'll go and meet with mentors and students just to make sure that everything's going well. And then we have at the end of the summer, but we have them a couple times a year, our grant has an advisory committee. So one of their deliverables for the students is to present a 5-10-minute PowerPoint about what they did with the research. And so that's probably a big benefit that we have for college students. We have other programs that are more targeted for high school and middle school, but can also have a connection. So for instance, we've had panels of college students, native college students, talk to high school kids or middle school kids about what their experience is like being in college. And so those could be virtual, or it could be, we have a couple of those a year. We have a 10-day program with partner with UW Milwaukee, and on a non-COVID year, students will go and stay there in the dorms and then go visit different campuses and do research and do different, these are high school students, but one of the days they meet with a panel of students. This last year, 2 years, it's been virtual, so that's a possibility. And we have stipends and things like that. So that's another possibility for college students. It doesn't have to be just Milwaukee, because we work with all the universities down there, Concordia and Marquette. Yeah.
The internships, so then they're not like with you guys, they're with like a tribal community or someone like at their institution supported by you guys.
For the most part, yeah. I think in the past we've probably had somebody at Great Lakes.
Yeah, we've had, because we have an epidemiology department down at our organization. So we have had some MPH students or other students to come in and spend time with epidemiology. Usually it's like an MPH epidemiologists that are there. And so that has happened. It's just that they get bogged down too sometimes. So like it's a time commitment. So, and we just haven't happened to have that in the past couple of years where there's been a student in house, but it's definitely an option. But we've had students, well, we had one student that spent 6 weeks in Tahiti because the project they were working on was with Native community out there, and they were kind of reflecting like the same indigenous people in Tahiti and their practices and how it kind of reflected back in tribal communities here. So yeah. And as Azale mentioned, not, with IRBs and time constraints and stuff, not everything is going to need an IRB. Not everything is going to be a human subject. So, I mean, we're very open to trying to maintain any flexibility. As we talk about all the time, we're here to knock down barriers. So we're going to try to be that group that's like, okay, we had somebody who needed waiters because he was doing water quality stuff. Okay, you need waiters? All right, we're going to get you the waiters if that's what it takes for you to do your project. So, we've had students, we had an English major, and he came and he did some work with a diabetes project, graduated, got his bachelor's degree. He was like, he went and got his MPH after that. So he, it's kind of just seeing things and we've had students that are like, that's the worst thing I've ever done in my life. I spent 8 hours a day in a dark room looking at a microscope. There's no way. And we're like, well, you might not like the work you did, but now you know that this field you were going to go into might not be the field for you if that's something you don't want to do. So it's been great seeing people kind of evolve and change. But yeah, we've had some people that work in an academic setting. We've had people that work in a travel setting. We've had even like a medical student who did like a shadowing type thing to look at all the aspects of the clinic where it was medical, dental. She spent a week in billing. She spent a week in seeing all the different aspects of running of a travel clinic. So there's all sorts of ways that we can, right. Yeah. As long as we can tie it to improving Native health. However, then that's a broad spectrum. So we've had a lot of social science projects. We've had a lot of actual, bench lab work. So it runs the gamut.
Another type of category that could get an exemption, and we've had a few of those, are like internal improvement for your campus. So for instance, we had some media students and some social or Native studies students that collaborated in doing how to make their campus more LGBTQ and Native friendly. And so they did this whole looking at the spaces and documenting with video and photography. And then they did a video on how to make the campus more friendly. And that didn't require IRB because it wasn't studying human subjects. It was just an internal improvement for the campus. That was a 2-year project.
And honestly, we've had one student who went through an IRB process with his mentor, and that was a huge learning event for him. So that was something that he's like, I did it, and so, and that was, but he had multiple internships with us too to kind of get through that.
Post-grads, do you use post-grads in your, because like I said, I'm come winter semester, I'll be graduating. But I'm post-grad, and I've had Native, I got it as long as my list, but I'm kind of interested, like you said, in the health department and substance and drug abuse programs. Is a real detriment. And if I was just telling Amber, if I can be a living, walking, talking proof that I did come out of the gutters to where I'm at now, to be able to help, whether it be that grade school kid or it be the adult in the community.
Sure.
As long as you can keep being enrolled at some level, like even if you were taking some type of postgraduate class so that you're still considered a student, then we just have to be able to show that you're still actively a student, and that's kind of where our requirement is.
Okay.
But I mean, we've had people who enroll from like a one.
Right.
No, right, just to stay as an active, that's all.
Yeah, I think that the transcript requirement has to be what, a year old or
Yeah, we try to, again, flexibility is our game. So.
We're really into the gray area.
You can play a video too.
Oh, yeah,
like
for
jerseys
sure,
or whatever, you know.
So in other words, if I want to help you guys out, I just got to take a NASA course.
Yeah,
exactly,
Okay.
exactly. And I even put into our latest grant, I put in an increase in the hourly rate for our students too. So after this year, when our funding comes up again, it's already, application process is already done. But so we bumped it from 12 and 15 to 15 and 18. So that will be reflected too as we go along. Once this fiscal year is over.
So, and
that
here on
we
the,
started,
oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
On the website, we have the internship application, the flyer and the application. We have some paper ones here, and then we have some, if you want to see more of the different types of projects, we have some videos of students that are doing different things. We can play Janelle's or, hers is pretty cool, but, or we can do Jeremy's, and then we have, like this final presentation. So this is the requirement that I was talking about, the 10-minute PowerPoint presentation. So we have all the students from 2020 and 21 in video there, so you can see kind of and it runs the gamut. There's projects from somebody looking at maple syrup all the way through domestic violence survivors, so it's really, possibilities are endless. So.
Well, and what's interesting too is Janelle was one of our students, but now she came back when we submitted this latest round of applications for our funding. She put in a research project proposal for a pilot project. She deals a lot with domestic abuse and there's the resiliency and everything. So it's kind of coming full circle where she was a student and now she just got her PhD in nursing and she's working.
Didn't she get invited to a task group or task
she's
force?
on a MMIW task force for Wisconsin. So she's a really interesting.
Yeah, I can play that one. So, do you have audio? Yeah, we can restart it. Okay. I'll let you.
I don't pull anybody's eardrums out.
I don't hear anything. But... I don't know. I don't know if I can play it through here. It's a small enough room.
Might be on the my Zoom.
Oh yeah, click on her options.
Here, I'll let you.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Sorry, but in any case, it's just her experience with what she was doing, and we have some other ones that we can look at. We don't,
While they're figuring that out, what are you guys all going to school for as of right now?
Oh, they could turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. You rolled right into it, just steamrolled over you. Sorry.
hold your breath.
Yeah. I'm in one class, currently